Hey guys, and welcome to today's video where I'll be showing you how to make a reptile hide out of clay. Now, I haven't used clay in years, but I found a bag that I used to use. You can use whatever you like. This is just air drying clay, and I know it doesn't crack. So I decided to give making a hide a try. So the first thing I do is make the base. Now, I decided to make this on plastic. That way, when the hide is dry, it will come away from the plastic easily. I also wanted to keep in mind the size of the hide, so it would definitely be big enough for my gecko. I also wanted to make sure that the base was completely flat, so I pushed it right down whilst I was making it. Now, one thing I can't do is guarantee that this will be fine as a humid hide or a hot hide. So for right now, I'd only recommend using this for a hide on the cold side of the tank. The great thing about making something to look like a natural form is it doesn't need to look perfect. I think actually the more perfect it looks, the less convincing it is that it's meant to be a natural form. So even if you make mistakes, if it slopes, if it just cracks in a little bit, it will probably look more natural, so don't worry about that at all. And this is one of the reasons that I altered the base of the hide. At first it was kind of like a perfect oval and I didn't want that, so I did alter it a bit. Next comes the top of the hide. You need to apply enough pressure that the pieces of clay merge together, but not too much that it collapses in. Now, you can leave your rock hide to look kind of smooth if you like that, but for me I wanted to add a bit of texture, so I got an existing rock that I've used for an aquarium before, and I just applied a bit of pressure with it to create some texture. You have to be careful that you don't completely ruin your hide, especially on the roof, but it can add a nice little bit of natural texture. Once you're happy with the hide, now you have to leave it for a few days. For me, this took about 2 to 3 days to fully dry. Now, once it's dry, you want to brush off any bits that may have accidentally become detached. The clay I'm using does have these hair-like fibres in it, which helps prevent cracking, but it does mean any little bits that break off may just hang there, so I had to brush them off. But now comes the fun part, painting. So I opted for a grey rock, but you can choose whatever colour you like. I'm using acrylic paints for this as I've used them without issue in the past with other backgrounds and hide builds. But what you want to do for the first layer is cover every part of your hide with it, and it has to be the darkest colour you're going to be using. And it doesn't have to be neat or pretty, it just has to cover everything as it's a base cover. And I did add a little bit of water to the paint, so it did run into every little crack and crevice, so everything was covered. Next, I added a little bit more white to the mix, so we had a lighter grey colour, and I lightly brushed over the top of the hide. Now this helps to highlight the texture on the rock. Once that was dry, I used white paint to roughly brush over parts of the hide. Now, I made sure the brush was very dry. I wiped it on the cardboard, as you can see. So we don't want to apply too much white. This is really just the highlight and it doesn't have to go everywhere. Once that's all dry, we need to apply our last layer, and it's really important you do apply this layer. It's a kind of sealant. It helps prevent anything mixing with the clay or paint. So I use Decorator's Varnish Dead Flat. So this doesn't like dry shiny, it dries matte, which is more natural. I used to use Mod Podge as a sealant, but that didn't turn out very well, so I probably won't use that again. This is definitely one I prefer. I added a couple of layers of this on it and I let it dry. And then the cave was complete. Now, besides clay drying, it actually really didn't take very long at all. It pretty much weighs the same as an actual rock, but this way your gecko can actually live in it. Now, I still would like to promote natural bioactive setups, but if you want to put a personal spin on your gecko's setup, then you can totally try this. As I said though, this is probably best put on the cold end of your reptile's hide, just to be on the safe side. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more videos like this, make sure you leave a like and let me know what you'd like to see me make. As always though, if you haven't already, please subscribe and remember to hit that notification bell so that you actually get my videos in your subscription box. But yeah, thanks for watching guys, and goodbye.